welcome people along to this webinar this week, the IMCO webinar. That's the International Integrative Maternity Healthcare Organisation. And we are very lucky today to have with us the beautiful Nathalie Ballerand. And her name is written Nathalie, but pronounced Natalie because it is French. And welcome along, Natalie.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be part of your talks and community of change makers and transformational leaders, really looking after the maternal care.
Absolutely.
So important.
That cutting edge. So,
yes.
And for those of you that haven't read all the information, Natalie is is French, as you might have gathered, and she's a speaker and a shamanic earth mother, and she's also a soul midwife, which I think is a gorgeous term, being a midwife myself, but a little bit different. We're not talking about childbirth, we're talking about soul birth. Which she will talk to you more about. And Natalie is a transformational leadership coach where she leads online communities, helping the evolution of mothers raise leaders by raising the leaders within themselves. And I love this sort of weaving, beautiful word, weaving the alchemy of motherhood into a catalyst for creating the future of our world. And her offerings include the influential Motherhood Academy, gorgeous, and the Motherhood Project, Fertile Grounds Coaching, Reborn Mama, which is also miscarriage, abortion, stillbirth, trauma of quantum healing. So today we're going to be talking about as motherhood and leadership mutually exclusive. Well, you know, boy, that's a real battle of the modern world, does it not feel? That you've got a have it all situation. Tell us more, Natalie, about, tell us more about this topic. Introduce us to it.
Yes. Well, this is a really exciting topic because I found so many women are struggling to reconcile the paradox of what it takes to be a mother and to also fulfill their career. I mean, the amount of women that are actually taking on leadership roles is growing exponentially. And at the same time, focusing on their career, they tend to delay having a child or starting a family. And all of a sudden, where the career is at their peak, they decide that before the clock is ticking, before it's too late, it's time to actually start a family. And all of a sudden, the priority changes. Their world is completely revolutionized. And we just become torn between what to do for ourselves, what was really important for us for so long, and our contribution to all of a sudden those pools that are dragging us into caring for those little ones. And the challenges are incredible. I mean, it can be challenges
so right.
being a mother, also becoming a mother. Mm-hmm. More and more women really struggle with fertility issues. So it is a constant battle, I feel, for women to try to take on those roles. We're trying to be the superman, the superwoman, and it's not always working very well.
Actually, before we head further, I just thought, oh, please, oh, hi, I can't see you. Okay, it's okay. Sorry. I just want to say to those watching, if you would like to just go into the chat area and just let us know whereabouts you are in the world and in your role, whether you're a health professional or expectant mum, just let us know. That'd be wonderful to hear. And also down the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see the Q&A section. So if you have any specific questions for Natalie, please, don't hesitate to just put them up there and we'll get through and address those. That would be absolutely wonderful. And so tell me, Natalie, what led you, to do the work that you do? How did this all start?
Well, it's one of those. It's one of those things. If I may tell you a little story, if that's okay. Um, I I had this sort of I don't know if I can call it an epiphany, but it was a really defining moment when I was 11 years old. So I was sitting in the classroom in my school in France. It was winter morning, a bit like today in Australia or in New Zealand, quite chilly. And it was really dark because it was early in the morning. And this teacher, she was a French teacher, and she started speaking to the new and revolutionary educational systems and extraordinary people that had been making breakthrough in education. And she mentioned about Maria Montessori. And
Oh,
I
right.
just felt this incredible energy going right through me. I was just drawn into that beautiful, like a light in a way, that
Wow.
resonated so profoundly with me. And like this teacher, she was a beautiful lady. She had these amazing blue eyes that were really deep and clear. And so she had her energy in itself was just magnificent. And I really resonated with those terms. I didn't really understand all of it, of course, being only a 10-year-old. And then she also spoke to the science of the minds, like neuro-linguistic programming and psychology and all the sciences where we can really work with our psyche and our subconscious to change our beliefs, our value, our behaviors. So it sort of, I just knew at that time that was a
Wow.
really critical component of what I was going to do. Little did I know that
Profound moment.
it would take me, 30 odd years or probably more to get there. Um, and that's another thing, another lesson I learned is I actually didn't listen to these callings for so many years, and I just kept them buried and did something else because societal influences, pressure, or ideals that, well, I can't really make money being a psychologist or
And
doing
you
studying philosophy. So I'm just going to do something else. And I went on to do a professional career in consulting and law and IT. So I went on a completely different path, but my soul was craving for that world that I now looked back to all the way in. So it starts really, the calling can start really
everything,
early,
isn't it?
but
Because
sometimes it
you were
takes a little while
probably,
to listen to it.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? It takes us a bit of life experience until we listen to that voice that's been probably screaming to us since day one.
Mm-hmm.
And let me have a little look at some of the messages we've got coming in here.
Yes, I was
And
looking for that. It's beautiful. We've got,
we have a intensive care nurse from California. Welcome, Rita. Fantastic. And what else we got here? New Zealand. Oh, Dulcie from Wellington. We have Louisa from the UK. She's now in New Zealand and working as a midwife. Oh, and that's great. We've got a bit of a shortage here, so we'll steal out the UK midwives. And we've got Bundaberg in Queensland. This is Kay. Her youngest babe has just turned 30. I have a girlfriend whose babe last week just turned 30. So you two were very pregnant at the same time. And yes, it's you find yourself quite often supporting younger mums holding on to that paradox. Yeah. And she also works on a soul level with women, which excites her to collaborate with you, Natalie. That's brilliant. And we have hello from Ola from Alexandra in Poland.
It's frozen. I don't know if you can still hear me.
So the expectation where everybody is wrong. And tell me, Natalie, what do you feel is like your definition of this leadership? Because, gosh, it's just so jolly tricky, isn't it? Oh, we seem to have lost your picture, Natalie.
Oh.
Okay. Maybe just see if your video is turned on.
Yes. I'll just stop it for a second.
Oh, no. Okay, we're coming back, I think. Not sure what happened there. All good.
Yes.
Oh, no, we still haven't got you. Okay, I'll carry on talking and hopefully the video will start again. Yeah, so, you know, it is, I really do feel for the millenniums at the moment. It's and coming through our Alpha Gen Z. It's just so tricky, you know, because gone are the days of leaving school at 15 or 16 and getting a job. And, you know, by the time you're 20, you've already been working for quite a few years. You don't have a university debt. You've probably been able to save some money and travel overseas, and you go off for a couple of years. You know, you come back in your early 20s and you're already got a career, don't have university debt, and you've traveled for a while. And, you know, might find that special person and kind of come together at mid-20s and have your baby at late 20s. And that was, you know, how things were done for quite a while. And then, you know, now we've got this situation where education just drags on and on and on for you know, our 20-year-olds, and they kind of get to their early 20s and they've suddenly now got the qualification to get a job, but they've got a substantial student debt. And you know, they begin this cycle and suddenly they go, oh my god, I'm 30, you know, I need to get on with these babies. So it is really, really tricky for them. Natalie, we still, oh, we can see you fine, Natalie. Oh, okay, thank you. All right, well, that's good. It's just me that can't see you. Okay, hopefully it's all recording all right. Okay, so yeah, so tell us more, Natalie, about the whole leadership aspect and how that translate as a leader of as a mum and leading your children.
Well, there's obviously, if you look in the literature, there's so many definitions of leadership, and typically in our society we think of leadership as somebody that would be at the head of an organization or head of a movement. And I recently had a beautiful conversation with a woman that had a different concept or a different approach to it, which is non-positional, as in it doesn't mean that you're necessarily at the head of something, but it's more with regards to who you are as a person. So her definition was, there is no such thing as a leader, only someone who leads. And I really love that because it speaks to the deeper values that you hold as a person and what's important to you. So to me, the traits or the skills that a leader has is really about having that resilience, that grit and determination to be on path and accomplish their mission. And it's also about building that sort of that anti-fragility. It's the terminology that is used by one of my mentors, Dr. Claire Zamet. And she talks to the skills that we need to develop as a leader for our own self, which is to be able to bounce back from, not only bounce back from challenges, but also seeking the lessons from the challenges. So being excited about those challenges that are coming our way, because they're going to be a source of great lessons and growth. So these are some of the traits and the skill sets of a leader. And obviously, of course, there are also internal values and qualities like courage and have some drive, have passion for what you're doing, and in doing so, by becoming that person, you actually inspire others into their own greatness. So that's where I love that definition I spoke to at the start, which is it's not about being a leader, it's more being, it's more leading and being in motion and in moving forward towards your vision. So
I have to say, I just love that definition. It's really good. It's not about being a leader, it's about leading. Yeah, it's just beautiful. And I also love that term that you just said, the anti-fragility. Yeah, and Abraham Hicks is probably somebody you listen to as well, which I listen to quite a bit. And, you know, they talk very much around the fact that those conflicts and contrasts in your life is that helps define not just who you are, but who you are not. Right?
Yes.
It's when you come up against those situations that you're going, yeah, that's not me, that's not my values, that's and you need those contrasts to in order to know what you want, you need to also learn what you don't want.
You're so right. You're so right. And there's so much learning in the challenges. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so why do you say you've got that sort of saying, as mothers together we create the future of the world? And I think that's so nice that you've got that word together in there, not just, you know, as mothers. I think sometimes as mothers we can feel like we're kind of in our own little pigeonhole, and we as the mother are helping bring up our children, but when you say as mothers together we create the future of our world, that's just lovely. Tell us more about that.
I really love that. That's a saying that really inspires me, and I guess that's why it came to me as a motto, because the mothers are always the great conveyors of wisdom of the centuries. Even though we've lived in a masculine world, there's a deep collective consciousness that the mothers are more in tune to, just the way our brain is wired to be working in the collective, looking after the family and looking after our youngs. And if you look back into the development of the brain in between men and women, the men were the hunters and the women were the gatherers. So it sort of goes back to how we are wired up to a degree. And also energetically, our feminine energy is very nurturing and caring and supportive. So there is this hold, or this big massive hug that the mother can give energetically as well as emotionally. So shifting from a masculine way of dealing with the world, which is based on goals and achievements and success, has proven successful to a degree. I mean, we all are professionally accomplished women, and we've utilized those skill set, and yet at the same time we feel that it's not enough. So we have found ourselves really isolated. We feel that we're trying to be everything to everyone because it's part of our nature. We want to care and be responsible to attend to the needs of others, and yet we don't attend to our own needs very often. So having that,
yes, and it's kind of sometimes it's like you have to remind yourself of the airline policy, you know, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And isn't it, you know, you just we don't mean to be martyrs, we don't. or actually, no, sometimes women do. But, you know, the point is we do have to look after ourselves, and we do have to energize ourselves. You know, one of the things that I've always suggested to, say, for example, new mums, is that their partner always does the baby bathing. And that is the one job they don't need to do. Their partner can take it over so that they can get out of the house and just put back into themselves for half an hour, you know. And it's just making those conscious efforts sometimes, don't you think, to just say, right, I need to go back into me. I need to put back into me. Even just, you know, doing 15 or 20 minutes of meditation each morning, you just say, right, I need to fill myself up so that I'm ready to, you know, impart to everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And putting ourselves as a priority is so critically important. And one of the major challenge of women is to actually not feel guilty about that, because we live in that world where there are so many demands, and they are totally justified. You know, they are important. Our work is important, and our family is important, and our responsibilities are important as in the community. The thing was that I found the isolation was the most noticeable aspect of it. We can do a lot of personal development, we can do a lot of self-nurturing, yet still it's not quite enough, because we can't become ourselves by ourselves. We need like a mirror that reflects to us, you know,
that's
really
a lovely saying too. I love that one. We can't become ourselves by ourselves. You've got some wonderful little sayings. That's just so what is maybe like a one piece of sort of insight, practical advice that you give the audience, you know, that for themselves and as health practitioners? Because I think that, you know, when we are health practitioners as well, you know, you're not just giving your home, you're giving all day in your job.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a whole case of just give.
Yes, well, that's basically what I was coming at in that sense, is that the isolation is just the word I'm looking for. It's the fact that we are aware of our needs is the primary, is the first. The first important point is to be able to understand what you need and be able to listen to those needs. Then is to be able to request from others support that's going to be able to help you fulfill those needs. So if it's to have some time for yourself, then how can we put that in place? You know, who can we ask, and what is a reliable source of support to be able to have that time out? Who can you delegate to? Who can you trust? Who can you enroll in your quest to support you in your, whether it's in your family or in your work or in your life in general?
And that's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think that we can be not very good at reaching out and sort of saying, you know, to family or to friends or whatnot, and saying, hey, I need a hand. I need a break. I think we can be pretty not brilliant at that sometimes.
Well, there's a lot of cultural the cultural habits in that sense, and also our own what's the word I'm looking for as well? I don't know, it's not really shyness, but in a lot of the time we don't want to impose on others. So out of respect, or out of I still can't find the word, it's not common, but it is so critically important that we realize that the support is there. And there are so many women that are crying out to give support. And it, like all the people that are on the call today, and all the workers that are supporting mothers are putting their heart out to support women and to support mothers in the birthing space. So they made the profession out of it. So why do we feel guilty requesting of others that we need help? And there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame. So there's a lot of old patterns that women have developed over centuries of being put into a box.
That's so true. So here we are as you know, a lot of female health practitioners, and especially perhaps the, you know, the birth practitioners, because that's such an intense you know, emotional sort of job to do. And you know, you kind of, you know, it can be, it's almost like sort of paramedic staff and A&E staff and midwives on birthing suite particularly. And you know, you might have just saved someone's life, you know, at 3 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock you're peeling the potatoes, you know. Yes. And it's this weird kind of balance of that you're just giving and giving and giving, and we do it as mothers and do it as health professionals, and you do it because you love to give, and then you feel weird receiving. But isn't there so much part of that, you know, two sides to every coin, that, you know, that we become better givers when we become better receivers as well, because we get to experience that. Tell us about, you know, I mentioned at the beginning about the different sort of aspects of your business and the different roles and things you do. Tell us more about what you do in your positions.
Right. Well, in a similar way, I provide different level of support. So I provide one-on-one support for women around fertility and emotional guidance, emotional support, transformational work, and releasing old patterns so that they can actually really embrace their fertility journey and be successful at that. It's such a challenging emotional roller coaster. I also work with mothers on the motherhood journey itself. Right. This one is more one-on-one coaching, or also for the Influential Motherhood Academy, which is creating that mastermind and that online community and learning opportunity for women to really get together and figuring it out, because I found there is no user manual for motherhood, and unfortunately we're trying to do it all on our own. So creating those online learning communities is so critically important, so that we can learn from one another and support each other.
Right. So with the people that are watching today, and those that watch it later, as an on-demand webinar, what other things is sort of, say, if we've got mums or mums to be watching, or we've got health professionals watching, what how could they kind of connect with you in a way that works? I'm just sort of thinking, not that we want, you know, we don't want the webinars to be sort of sales pitches of people's businesses, but I think it's really good for them to know what, you know, what opportunities they've got to sort of collaborate with you.
Well, at Love at the moment, I'm actually doing a founders program with the Influential Motherhood Academy, and what I'm really calling for here is other women from all walks of life, whether they are professionals or non-professionals, but are really visionary women that feel that they have a deep calling, a vision, and something inside of them that's really crying to be unleashed and revealed and birthed. And yet at the same time, they found that motherhood is holding them back from being able to express those gifts and talents. So having that mastermind together will be able to support one another in creating and birthing our work in the world, and at the same time empower our children to be leaders in and of themselves. And that comes back to my original saying, which is I help women raise leaders by raising the leaders in themselves. We can be the role models, and we can create the future generations to be the leader we would like for the world by allowing that leader to shine in ourselves. So that mastermind group to me is really important, because it's going to be the groundbreaking work to figuring it out. And my intention is also to inform, with that work, to inform a book that will summarize or put the gems that we will be coming up with to put out into the world for other women to embrace those.
Fantastic. So it's particularly, all right, so we sort of narrowed that down a little bit, that it was really that when you're in that situation where you are a mum, you know, you've got your little ones, but there's that real feeling that you're not quite fulfilling your own potential, because, you know, being a mum is a busy place, and sometimes it is so hard to feel like you've got the time, the space in the brain, let alone the space in the schedule, to do those things that you're feeling like you want to be able to accomplish. And there's that little piece kind of missing. And but if we don't do that for ourselves, then why should we expect, in a way, it's like, why should we expect our kids to go on and be leaders and things, and I don't know, be the captain of the soccer team, or you know, or inspire that, or, you know, start a school newspaper, or do things themselves that are shows of leadership, when they're not seeing us doing that for ourselves as part of our need to lead. So do you kind of get together as a bit of a do you sort of like meet online, or how do people kind of interact and communicate within your community?
Yes, so it's an online program, and we gather regularly. We have sessions where we explore different topics and break through some of those challenges that we encounter, and we share our resources with each other. So we find amazing opportunity that thinking outside the box. We're all different, and we all have different skills and talents to bring to the picture, and that's the beauty of those learning communities, because we don't have all the answers. We can find some answers in books, in seminars, and a lot of women that I meet have done hours and almost decades of personal development, but yet still they're not at the point in their life where they would like to be. So having that, giving each other's permission to shine, is incredibly powerful, and I've seen it many times again in all the power partners that I have in this work. It's amazing what we can achieve when we give each other permission to shine.
Yes, and don't you think that women we're just so jolly good at networking, you know, and helping each other out, and you know, sort of saying, oh, I know somebody in that field, or blah blah. I think that we're just naturally networkers. It's just how we work, and I don't want to be sexist in this environment of webinars, because we've got lots of men who are, you know, part of IMCO and part of our you know, our setting here, and but I think that we're talking about that because this is your specialty, this is what you're doing, so that's why we're talking about that subject today. But tell me, tell us all what sort of excites you in the future. Obviously, you know, 2020 is being a a pretty intense year around the planet. I saw a cute picture the other day, and it was a Christmas tree, and it just was like, why don't we just, call it Christmas and this year is over? I thought that was kind of funny, because there is, there's a whole feeling on the planet, isn't there, of people that we're just kind of a little exhausted by this roller coaster that we're all going through. But from an individual through to a country, through to a continent, through to an entire planet sort of level, but we do know that there's fantastic things in the future. This is just a blip in time. And so, tell us, or what excites you about the future? How do you feel about it all at the moment?
Well, you definitely summarized it. It is a very interesting times. Definitely very interesting times. And I feel that we have many more challenges ahead. And I guess this year so far has been perhaps a metaphor of what can happen in a woman's life when she becomes a mother. The whole world is put upside down. We have expectation of what motherhood can be, but the reality is usually very different to the ideal rosy picture that we had as a child, happily ever after. So the world at the moment is in that extraordinary transition phase, and with transition and change, there's big uncertainty. And that's the hardest one that we found to be able to deal with. We typically, culturally, not really equipped to deal with uncertainty. We've been in that masculine world for so many centuries where everything had to be planned and scheduled and organized. And all of a sudden, it's all blown apart. So we have to learn a new way of being. And in that, I think we're circling back to what we were discussing at the beginning of that chat, which is in every challenge there's an opportunity. So when we actually embrace and start putting ourselves into a questioning mode and being open and curious to, okay, what is the new world going to look like? What is it that I can create with those new contexts, those new data that I'm supposed to be dealing with? Well, there's a lot of opportunity. People are reshaping how they're doing things. They're reshaping how they educate their children. A lot of women that I know are excited to venture on homeschooling rather than continue in the traditional model because they had experience having their kids at home. Others just went, I can't wait for the kids to go back to school.
Yeah.
But either way, they had a time to actually appreciate perhaps the opportunity that they have when their children are at school and appreciate the free time that they have whilst the kids are not there to pursue things that are really important for them. So, it's
and,
a
even
mindset.
within that sort of topic is saying that, well, however you feel about it, it's okay, And, so you want to be a stay-at-home mum and homeschool your kids. That's great. So you don't want to homeschool your kids and you want to go back into, that's okay.
Exactly.
It's funny because our own children are mostly in their 20s now, and one of our children has already said that they plan to homeschool, and our other kids are saying, absolutely not. There's no way. Why would you do? And so here they are saying, oh no, do this, do that, and you're like, it doesn't matter. And I'm sitting back saying, well, whether they do or they don't, it'll be the right thing for them and the right thing for their kids. So just let people be what they're going to be without having that mother guilt that's just haunts us all the time. Now we're going to be winding up soon, but I'm just wondering if any of the anybody with us live today has got any particular questions for Natalie, now would be the time just to type them on if you have. Questions that we've had so far have been really answered through, but if you've got anything else that hasn't been answered, do, let us know. And I'm just having a look at some of my other notes here that, the comments, because some of the things, I love some of your sayings. They're so good. Well, we've got here societal dynamics and long-standing cultural beliefs have placed career women in a never-ending bind of a lose-lose situation. So true. And in fact, I know that within my own book, Oh Baby, I've got a whole little sort of essay almost of, to work or not to work that is the question.
Yes.
And I sort of say, look, you really got three options, and that is that you work full time and you full time daycare your children, and you'll carry the guilt of daycaring your children full time, or you are a stay-at-home mum and you have the guilt that you're not out there earning money, and or you work part-time and you daycare your children part-time, and then you can work with the guilt that you are not a full-time mother and you're not a full-time worker. So it's like a pick your poison, really,
Yeah.
which do you prefer? Which is just nuts, and we just have to stop doing that to ourselves. Because the funny thing is that motherhood has always been, traditionally, it was about childbearing, not really child rearing. And
we had the village to raise the child in ancient cultures, didn't we?
Absolutely. And you were, before the days of contraception and before the days of social welfare and things, you're having a lot of children was also how you produce your own security for the future. That's how you manage your farm. That's how you were going to be looked after in your retirement, and you also knew that your chances are not all your children would survive. And those kids were out working and contributing as soon as they could, when they're out there being 5 and 6 and they're milking the cow or whatever. So this whole idea that we're sort of we're mothers who are raising our children and teaching them and imparting to them, for their first 18, 20 years of their life, that's actually a relatively new phenomenon within sort of the whole lifespan of society. We don't have to go back very far, and children were expected to be financially contributing to their household pretty young. Financially meaning doing some work on the farm or whatnot. So and I don't know that our grandmothers had anywhere near the guilt that we have these days of, are we a great mum? I don't think they were too. So
well, that's a great question. I think they were, from the stories that I heard from my grandmothers and them and my mother and my mother-in-law, who are from an older generations, they were not really given the choice. So it was once for example, my mother went to university and met my father, and that was it. Then she had 5 children and she stayed at home. So she basically had to give up, and it was an expectation. She did that willingly, I guess, because that was expected of her and because that was a natural thing to do. It was in the order of things.
Yes, I mean, you were learning how to become a secretary or a school teacher. At school you get your typing skills and your homemaking skills, and you'd get your job until you were engaged and married and start baby making.
Yeah.
Obviously we feel for them, because it was like there's so many amazing women that probably never got to fulfill their potential of what they could have been, just because it was his job to bring home the cash and take out the trash. And, you know, she did everything else. But now we do have those opportunities, but then we carry the guilt that we're not, that we feel like we can't be everything to everybody. And you know what I would say, and that is, I mean, gosh, I was, you know, a real good example of that myself. You know, I had little kids. I when I started at university, my kids were like 1, 3, and 5. You know, and like, who am I to be doing that? You know, yeah, and you go, am I doing the right thing for them? You know, so you just have to throw it by the wayside and go, you know what? If you go out and create that joy and success and put your footprint in the sand and say, this is who I am and this is what I stand for, and your kids will, they will learn that leadership role from seeing you lead.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's exactly what we do when we work on the Motherhood project, is to really understand deep down what motherhood means to you. It doesn't mean anything else to anybody else but you. So what defines you as a mother is only a role. It's not who you are. It's a temporary role that you have. The same thing as your profession. So we look deeper than that. It's like, well, what does it mean to you, and how can you organize your life so that motherhood is a success to you and to the ones around you? So it's putting it into a different context. So we can let go of those of the guilt of, well, I can't be everything to everyone, because, well, that's not what we're meant to be doing. We shouldn't be everything to everyone. And you're exactly right. By being that role model of, you know, fulfillment, everything radiates out of that. The influence, and that's what I'm talking about, influential motherhood, the influence we have on our children by being that light and that role model of self-inquiry and learning and growth and development and vision, is in and of itself a lesson that they wouldn't learn anywhere else. Because they, you know, we say, don't do as I say, do it, or don't do as I say, don't do as I do. Well, you know, very much that they are little sponges in mimicking everything that we do. So
yes,
let's be,
and you know,
be the leader we want them to be.
Yeah. And them seeing the blueprint of you enjoying being a mother, enjoying when you're not a mother, you know, those, I mean, we're always a mother, but you know, enjoying the moments when we're not in motherhood. I think like I know that when we first had our children, we'd already seen a lot of people kind of like disappear socially as soon as they have kids, and you never see them in another party. And I was just like, hell bent, that is not happening to us, you know. And our kids just got dragged all over the place on a Saturday night. You know, we would always be socializing, either somebody coming to us or us going to somebody, and those kids would get dragged around the place. And we ended up sort of calling them our flexi babies, because they learned to sleep anywhere. And have gone on to just see us, you know, enjoy our social life and enjoy our careers and get on and just not carry that guilt that we know we can't be it all and have it all. So let's not even try. Let's just do, you know, just enjoy that day and that moment and we've got some lovely little comments just coming through, and then we'll wind it up. And okay, this motherhood is only a role. It is not who we are. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Learning the leadership role from you. Fabulous lines, ladies. They open us to being curious as to what else is possible. Yeah, that's true. And I think that motherhood actually does that to you. Often after you've, you know, had your children, you sort of realize, look, I don't want to go back to being who I used to be. You know, I need to redefine what work I do, how I do my career, you know, what my interests are. And it does sort of allow us to redefine and almost, you know, I like what you said earlier about how 2020 is that huge change that we're going through. Is kind of equivalent to that huge change that women go through when they do have their first baby, and you suddenly sort of have to redefine yourself. And boy, is the world not having to do that right now. Wow. Yeah, amazing. And it's another comment. It's so simple yet so difficult to roll out. There needs to be some big societal changes, doesn't there? Yeah, you're right.
And
And you know,
yes,
we're going to be leading that for our children.
yes. Well, I love that question from is it Jolanda or Yolanda? Um, that there needs to be some societal changes, and at the same time, we can initiate those changes by being aware of what our needs are and be able to put out there what changes we want to see. So it
Yes.
is, it's
And
always
Yolanda,
the
it's
chicken and
right
the
now,
egg,
those
you know, which
changes,
one?
yeah, they're right occurring right now because you guys are sitting here and we're together. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're all together
Yeah.
at this moment. The fact that we're all together at the moment and discussing the topic.
Yes, and there's. I was going to mention before. I've got this interesting little quiz. If people are interested to take that, I'm yet to put it on my website. But if you email me or if you email Kathy, then we'll be able to send it to you. But it's an interesting, fun little quiz that allows women to determine what kind of influential mothers they are. So there are different
Oh,
types.
that's
And
interesting. So
yes,
it's not live right now.
no, I've actually I needed to put it up earlier, but then the link wasn't working properly. So I've got the document available ready to send, but it just will be through email. It will be, maybe we can put it into the webinar notes. Once you post it on your website, it will be operational then. But in the meantime, if people would like to take the quiz and do that little assessment, we can email that to
Yes.
them.
We've got a follow-up email that will be going out to the registered attendees in the next day or so with the, which hopefully should have a link with this recording. So we could include some information on there about that as well. And yeah, that's fabulous. Well, we will wind it up now. And I just, we've got another comment here. You've mentioned this year's challenges are an opportunity for us to redefine ourselves. We can redefine motherhood. Yeah, it is. It's a real line in the sand kind of moment at the in the planet. So, look, I just want to thank you, Natalie, for your time today, and thank the participants as well for contributing. It'd be pretty fun if it wouldn't be so much fun if we were just talking to ourselves. And you know, it's just really neat. And we will put up the links, and you know, you guys are most welcome. Everybody's most welcome to share the webinar, you know, out to your own networks as well. And you know, the whole point of IMCO, the International Integrated Maternity Healthcare Organization, is that, you know, we want to you know, expand that knowledge on what we sort of term perinatal integrative medicine, or that holistic maternal, fetal, neonatal health and integrative care. You know, we know, it's funny, I was being interviewed myself the other day, and it sort of came up in conversation that, you know, here we already have things, I mean, different countries have different policies, but where I'm from in New Zealand, we do have things like chiropractic and osteopathy and acupuncture as part of normal healthcare services, and but we don't have that available within maternity. So midwives can't go and say, here's a referral to an acupuncturist. It's not part of the system. And you know, this is sort of what we're wanting to change, is we want to integrate and realize that, you know, it's not just about the body, it's about the body and the mind and the spirit and the soul. And there's you know, it's that whole holistic feeling. And you know, once mums disappear home after their, you know, 2 or 3 nights stay in a postnatal ward, and then suddenly the bomb goes off of motherhood.
Yeah.
And you know, 6 weeks later, they're just going, oh, I lost her, and I'm finding her. And yeah, it's amazing. The world's going through it right now, and so do all mums. So I'm gonna wind it up here, but thank you very much. And as somebody commented, planting and birthing the new ideas. Is there anything you'd like to wind up with, Natalie? Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, I'd love to actually give you a couple more quotes that have always been
Please.
Beautiful guiding words for my life and my vision. I had this Marianne Williamson quote that I found probably 20, 30, 25 years ago from A Return to Love, where she says that our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yes, I remember that.
It is
one.
It is really, it helps me really show up in a consistent way with my higher power every day. It's always been a really important guiding light for me. And I wanted to quote a little sentence or paragraph that I started writing in my book. It's not totally polished, but I thought I'll share that with you because it summarizes what we were discussing today, and how motherhood can be a tool to raise leadership within, not only within our children, but within ourselves. This is the fact that children are the ink and the stylus of our great life stories. Their breath is the breeze that shuffles the pages of our destiny book. Their laughs are the echoes of the universe, applauses for the magnificence of our potentials. Their eyes are the deepest wells that reflects to us the abundant universe that lives inside each of us, vibrant, untapped, waiting to be open. So let's dive in.
That's gorgeous. Just love it. You're a clever writer. I love it. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, everybody. And we wish you all the best. Wish you a wonderful rest of the week. And thank you for joining us at INCO. And we'll catch up next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, beautiful people.